Mhm.
Hi, Sarah.
It looks pleasant outside your window. I say it looks nice out. Oh, can you hear me? No.
It's like I can hear you, but it's like muffled or something.
Oh, let me change it. Here we go.
Okay, that's better.
Much better.
Yeah. Gosh, last week my Zoom, I was 90 degrees. I don't know.
90, you like turned?
Yeah, like my camp for whatever that's on my laptop. I was like, what? But this is the external camera. It seems to. I even rebooted and updated Zoom, but you
Yeah,
guys
stranger
getting
things.
not a fan of. I just turned my camera off. It's very distracting to be in a meeting when you're 90 degrees.
I'm sure it looks weird, a little weird too.
Right. Yeah, I think as he got right on. And
By the way, if I'm swatting, it's not because I'm crazy. We've just got these fungus gnats everywhere.
But he is crazy.
both are true.
Yeah.
All right, let me close all this other stuff. All right, let's call this. Jeremy, I know we've been kind of sharing secretary duties, so I had a talk with Carol today and trying to pass that on to Carol for our next session, if she would agree to that. So we can talk about that more, but let's, for now, call the meeting to order at 3:17. I'll seem like I could see you all. I'll do a roll call. Carol?
Here.
I'm here. Troy?
Here.
Jeremy?
Here.
All right, budget, so exciting. Dr. Powers is on vacation. I make a motion to approve the agenda. Do you have a second?
A second.
Great, that's already written in there. Do a roll call. Carol?
Here.
Ma is yay for the agenda. Troy?
Yay.
And Jeremy.
Yay.
Okay, and then I'm going to make a motion to approve the minutes from May 3rd Budget Committee regular meeting and May 14th Budget Committee special meeting. Do I have a second?
A second.
Great, I'll do roll call. Carol?
Here.
Oz, yay. Hildebrands?
Yay.
Voigt.
Yay.
Woo, okay. So I'm going to throw this agenda in the chat. My gosh, the other day I turned off my editing or something. I hit it and I was like, I couldn't find out how to find anything. And Google Docs was making me crazy. Okay, so, and this is something we can finesse so this is our last meeting, right? And then in July, the LSC will have a new organizational meeting, and then we'll, if they still want a budget committee, they'll have one, which I'm assuming they will. And then we will have another organizational meeting. So, Carol mentioned that it'd be good to recruit more people, more stakeholders to the committee. And so we can do that and then reassign duties as we see fit. And then also, I think, Jeremy, to kind of really, what do we really want to talk about on a monthly basis? For example, like under reports, I have internal accounts review. I mean, we kind of been doing that where we'll talk about any check requests that you have, and then like if there are, things you have to move around to make the budget work. But then this concept of a fee collection update, you don't really work that way. It doesn't, it's not like you run a monthly report to show what fees are outstanding or.
I don't currently.
And I don't want to add non-value added work. So it's just something to think about. Like we don't have to decide.
I mean, there's a standard report that we have in Aspen that can show all the payments. The problems I foresee are some of that is private information from a family paying a certain tender. that maybe should not be advertised with the LSC. And it doesn't really give you the itemization. It just says $480 payments. There's another report that shows that 480 broken down, but it doesn't say who it's coming from. That might be more realistic, but, and it's more like the one we kind of created with you, Sarah. I mean, I don't know, it might be another hour of work or so. So it's something I could do if it's found to be useful. I guess I just don't know.
No, I think the only thing it would be useful for is to, maybe it's a quarterly thing. You know, I don't know. I'm thinking of like, how can you, I mean, does it make sense to reach out to families to say like, on a quarterly basis, like, hey, this is your balance. Hey, just remember there's this appeal process. Like what could that look like? Is that something that makes more sense based on the school quarter, you know, kind of thing?
Sure, and it used to be more regimented, and it used to be more consistent. We would always send it out with the progress reports because it was also, you know, easy to do it then. And but I think with the pandemic and things, it's just been a little more spotty right now. It's also this new system that CPS has. They don't give us a good way to run these reports. And then we need to by hand collate it for every single student and stuff like that. So that's why we've been more lax with sending out the debt letter and trying to push parents to view those things in parent portal on their own, which is ultimately the goal. And that's what CPS wants as well. And it just, you know, like everything, it saves so much more manpower if people are doing things themselves online. But that being said, some families just don't operate that way, and they do need to have an updated account statement here and there.
So if somebody doesn't pay their fees at the beginning of the year, then are they still get their report cards, and can they still
yeah.
sign up for sports and all that?
It just keeps, you know, it just keeps going on their account until they want to do something about it. That's really how it works. We don't deny them anything. Every once in a while, there's a dance where we have like a policy where your fees have to be at $100 or less for you to buy a ticket, or you need to set up a payment plan or some sort of agreement with us, letting us know, you know, you're working on it. We haven't instituted that policy in a long time either because of the pandemic. So, I mean.
So what % of people actually pay their
All their fees?
Yeah.
Usually by their senior year, everybody does take care of it. I would say 95%.
Oh,
But some of them are putting it off until that absolute final moment. And some of them, the other 5%, I would say it becomes overwhelming right now. You know, this is crunch time for the seniors. And so I just sent out a final senior letter account report last Friday saying you have to have all this wrapped up by senior exit this week. If you're having trouble, you need to reach out. Like this was done over a month and a half ago, I think, as well. But there's still plenty of accounts on there that are pretty high. And so we send it out again. And I told them, if you need help, reach out to me by email. You know,
but is that the first time they're hearing from somebody like that versus like until their senior year before graduation? With the exception of at the beginning of the year when it says you.
Hearing that they should reach out if they need assistance?
I mean, just that they have this balance and, you know, that because by then it's a lot of money.
It is. No. They like I said, it used to be we'd always send out that account report with progress reports.
Oh.
This last year and a half, maybe that's gotten not as good.
Okay.
Like we haven't necessarily, because we haven't sent out progress reports because CPS is doing it.
Oh, okay. Is that going to continue, you think?
But it's always
No,
on parent portal too, so they should have the ability to review it. But I know that's a mess for the parents, just like Aspen's a mess for us. You know, it's not a good system.
Yeah, it's about training the families on how to do that. And is it, if they're used to, or if you're a new family, you didn't you didn't know that you might have used to gotten it with your progress reports and
Mhm.
having that, go ahead.
Well, to answer your question more specifically, Ms. Deely, it should not be a surprise to any families, especially if they have a hefty bill. I'm sorry, but they may play a little bit of the
Mhm.
like, oh, I didn't know, but everybody knows there are fees
Okay.
at the school every
Yeah.
year. So I don't buy it all the time with
Yeah.
all of this. Some of them may have thought they got waived, but I mean, if it were you, wouldn't you check that out before just making that assumption?
Maybe.
So I don't understand that logic, but I'm a different person
Yeah.
too. I don't.
Okay.
Is there another time? Is it just the system, or is it also like, when we go back next year to setting out progress reports, do you think we'll go back to setting the balance report
can,
or account report?
Like I was saying, they don't give it all in one nice neat package either. So we have to go through one by one and put those together. And we can do that, but it takes time and effort. It would be nice if everybody it's almost like you have to make this decision. Are we going to keep pushing parent portal? And this is the only way you can view your fee. So you better figure out how to get into parent portal.
Right. I mean, you could even put in the mailing with the progress report, a one sheet, like
Yeah.
step one, don't forget to check your outstanding fees. We're unable to print the reports easily
Yeah.
anymore,
We could try
and
that.
and then link, like bit.ly link to the appeal form. Is it a form yet? Or we'll get there? Or
You mean, is the appeal form like a Google form that we could send them a link to?
Yeah.
No, it is not.
Would you like it to be?
This is another one of those tough calls, I would say, because the more you automate that, I don't, again, honestly believe that people aren't taking advantage of the system. So some of these steps being put in place to make them fill out a form and return that to us and give us a solid, this is why I have a need and everything, it might prevent people from, I mean, if you just throw it out there for everyone, we could be losing half of our fees. I don't know what the repercussions could be.
I don't think it's that so much, because you do have to qualify, right, for the appeal process or show. Here's my concern is that we've talked here and also as an LSC about taking away like the shame factor of reaching out, and like, how do you make it less like, like you said, people are proud and they want to pay, right? So, but then for the people that really can't pay, but they also are proud, like taking it where they don't have to actually call someone, I don't know. I think it's something like I keep envisioning like this summer working on with you guys, like a process map of those steps, and like making sure that we communicate that to the school, and that it works for the school too,
It's not something I'm opposed to if you guys want to try it.
Because
It doesn't go, I mean, and I don't know, it doesn't really go beyond the school
Right.
when we're in that waiver appeal process. It's basically just Dr. Powers or myself signing off on it at that point. And I'll be honest, like, it's not that we don't, want to read the full form, but if they're filling out the form, we know there's a need, so it's almost never denied.
I see. Okay.
Could I also add I know there's the concern about shame and but on the other side, if we make these assumptions that a family is struggling, then, it doesn't look
Some
good
people
on
take
us.
offense to that, yeah, as well.
It's a very delicate situation, and if you even word it wrong, we've had families that I think Jeremy was looped in on an issue, and the family replied back, like, I don't want my business with everyone in the
Oh.
school, even though he was the business manager and the one that would be dealing with it. So I don't know, that makes me a little nervous too, is like making these assumptions that we are going to be able to help these families and they may not even want it. And then,
Right, but they would have to actually go through and what do they do? How do they know they can contact you now? They just, when you write them a letter, they say, gosh, we can't pay this.
I think a lot of the things happen in conversations during our welcome period or the registration in August. Even though a lot of it has gone online, and I'm excluding the years of the pandemic because it's not normal, right? We probably see a good couple hundred people come through where we actually can have a conversation with them and talk to them about, oh, do you think you're going to be applying for the fee waiver? If so, hold off on your bill. Don't pay anything right now. And then, we have the forms right there ready to go. And there's been tons of times where, especially when I was a clerk, I've had a lot of families come back in and kind of hint to something. And then we're like, well, here's another option. And if you're interested. So, presenting it that way can also probably be a way to get around that. But, I also want to correct myself. I said that the CPS would probably not be doing their progress reports. I'm under the assumptions that they will be returning to the normal format once we start again. I have not gotten an official word that that's the case. I just want to put it out there as a correction.
Okay, yeah, so I'm sure. Okay, so I think it's something to think about, especially if we have, I'm always a big fan of having those one-on-one conversations with families and I think but if they're not coming into the school, like, I don't know how things will be for this next.
Primarily, primarily I get a phone call or a email from a family when there's a need. So they will call me. I usually follow up with an email. I'm not a big fan of talking over the phone with families about these kinds of things because I want a documentation of it. And because I need to send them forms. So I almost always email them instead. I might call and let them know that there was an email sent to them first. But that's primarily how people will reach out. Students are never included in that kind of communication. And it's very simple and straightforward, pretty much. If you need help, this is an appeal form. If after you filled out the FIIF form, if you were still denied, we have an appeal process. Fill this form out, send it back to me, and the principal reviews it, and we'll let you know in probably a day or two what we can do to help. He usually only covers the current year, but especially this year, we've bent the rule a little bit to help out with previous years as well if they need to.
Okay. Yeah, that's something, yeah, we can get to that on the form, I guess. I'm trying to think of where's the best place for all this information to live, right?
I think it all starts with the fee schedule, and
Right.
it's always had, please contact me if you have additional questions and such, but we're
Right.
trying to spell it out a little bit better. Like, if you need help, email me.
Okay, yeah, and I have that as the old business, and I'll put that in the chat. But okay, can you just really quickly, well, we can do that with the fees. Okay, so is there anything, does anyone else have any comments about that right now before we move on? No? Is there anything in internal accounts that when you wrap up your June?
The fiscal year,
Yeah,
is there anything that needs to be presented to you guys? Is that what you're asking?
I guess, well, I'll get there. I guess, is there anything to review now in internal accounts? You guys are just,
For checks, no,
Okay.
because the meeting was just last Monday. I haven't
Right.
gotten anything that large since
okay,
then.
okay. And then, did you have any money in 115 funds left this year or no?
Very little. It's a tough balancing act because they tell teachers that they can get reimbursed for their stipends up through June 30th, but that all POs have to be in by whatever date. It was May something, and then they gave me another week. So there's a lot of teachers that don't use that stipend. I try to burn it up on paper and things like that, but I can't burn it all up because then they're still putting in reimbursements later. So almost all of it was used up.
Okay, so I
I had to
won't
leave a
put-
little in those accounts for the teachers to keep using if they wanted a reimbursement.
Right, okay, so I'll just put like, what's a word for small monetary value? There's a word, minuscule. Value left to cover, to cover potential stipends,
Reimbursements, yeah.
reimbursements, okay. Okay. Any exciting news about rentals, Troy?
There
Any news?
is.
There is?
Um, Well,
Okay.
as I imagined, we have quite a bit of people that are inquiring about the reopening. CPS is slowly budging or moving along with some of these things. It still looks like we're probably going to be fall before we can actually start up again. But the field, I've got a few different things out there that are going to be happening. So yeah, I mean they're coming. They're going to be coming back in force. I know they are.
Okay, but you're able to rent the field now.
In a limited capacity, yes,
okay.
but
Limited capacity for outdoor field rental. Did we share that rental? And this might be a dumb question, but do we share that rental income with NTA?
yeah, we do.
Okay.
It's
Is it 50-50 or is it?
unfortunately, I do all the work and they just collect the paycheck. But technically, they're supposed to provide security, field cleanup, and some other items which they have not done. But
Ever or just this?
I would say ever.
You don't think Dr. Powers would kind of, he just feels like it's a nice thing to cover that for them or?
I think it's if they had more of an active role in it, I think that would be worth splitting it. But it was an agreement that was made pretty close when I started. So
Troy, what if we stop? How did they get their money?
you send them a check.
He's like, I haven't sent a check.
I don't
ever."
recall sending them a check.
You send them a check. Well, that's the problem is that we had like these this period where like well, it's a long story. You've only sent them one check because then we went into the pandemic.
I see. So they've only more recently started being told they get the half amount. Revenue sharing for track field. Yeah, that wasn't a small
Maybe they
check
do
either.
the porta potties or something. There's porta potties there.
Yeah, but they don't
what?
provide those, I don't think,
No,
do
they
they?
don't provide them.
We
Who
do
does?
that too.
We do that too.
Oh,
So-
okay.
So my question is, if we stop sending them this check, what will happen?
We probably should tell them why first, maybe.
No,
well, we can't.
I'm just
but-
curious, if this was a company and we stopped sending them a check, they would start complaining to someone, and then we would in turn complain to someone about the lack of work they're doing.
I think we just have to talk to them. We don't want somebody just to show up and get locked out.
Yeah, but, well, they're not using the field, right, Troy?
They use it for recess sometimes and some other miscellaneous things, but not.
But to
not
clarify, this money is for outside groups that are renting the field, and we're just giving them half because they're nearby. Essentially, they're not doing anything else to gain half that.
Yeah, it's not the Jones track and turf field. It's the Jones NTA. So therefore, we had to share. But that's actually something that we were going to be going back to real estate with and kind of renegotiating some of the terms because they didn't provide it. And their argument is that they're a small elementary school that can't provide those things. So it's just icing on the cake. That is what the field rental is. It's a lot of work for nothing. I'll be very honest. It's pennies compared to the other stuff. But after we take out the porta potty money, the overtime for our security, and then maintenance, I would say we're probably barely breaking even.
Yeah, it seems like a good opportunity to go back to real estate, renegotiate the percent. If it just makes sense for Jones because we have you, right? And they don't have like someone who's coordinating their rentals, but say that, maybe it's 70-30 because.
Right.
Or something, what, I mean, you have the data, you have the numbers for.
And to clarify, Ms. Dealey, I'm not saying they should not be allowed to use the track, but I'm not sure why we're giving them money for the commission if they're not doing anything to maintain it.
What about, you said maintenance, Troy, you just mean cleanup, or is there annual maintenance that has to be done to keep the field in good condition?
It's a mess.
Huh?
Oh, I haven't been there. Obviously, I have no sports.
I've been there. I've been there a lot. Just
Sure,
What
I
did
can
you think?
see
It's
that.
dirty, right?
No, it's not dirty.
Oh, you must
Field?
be on. Are you? What side of the field are you on? It's like garbage everywhere. Oh, okay.
And tagging is a
NCAA
problem,
does
right,
sometimes
Troy?
send people out, but it's very, very rare. And the community, so there's an element of the community use that we have to allow. That's why the fence is so low. But people take that and kind of take advantage of it, where we'll have other schools, private schools that unknowing to us will use the field, and we've had part of the turf field ripped up. A drunk driver ran through the fence. We had to replace that. That came out of Jones's budget. So there are certain things that tend to happen that if sports admin doesn't cover it, either we lose the field or we pay for it. We go with the latter.
Okay.
I'm sure over the summer it probably gets a lot of use like that, but right now maybe it's just getting used too much. So
I mean, it could be that Andrew Edelman tells his whole crew, go clean up, everybody to go get a bag of garbage before the track meet starts. I mean, I don't know.
Actually, I think it's Zub that does that. He does sometimes that.
Paul Zub.
Yeah, I think the big takeaway is to renegotiate that agreement in a tactful way. So, okay, all right. Well, I'm hoping by the fall, especially, how things look right now, that you'll get some of those churches in there and other indoor rentals, and it could take a little pressure off of the budget, and then also using all of the discretionary funds, the ADF funds. You're gonna get those in July, you think, Mr. Voigt?
I mean, that's what they've said, but I don't usually get updates on that. That would go to the principal.
Okay. Can you wait?
Do you want to get that, Troy? Okay.
It's end of the day, so all the teachers are like looking in our window. I'm like, no.
Tell them to hop on the call. Okay. All right. Well, I think that's good for the reports. So I'm going to say that I don't have Microsoft Word. So when I open Jeremy's nice, beautiful fee schedule, it looks crazy. And so I haven't really done any editing. I will share this. I just started.
I
may put it in the chat. I think it's just because it's a small meeting. It's maybe easier for us to just open on our own devices. Oh, I'm sorry again about the formatting, but at the last LLC meeting, everyone, it was very clear. It's hard to see on this Google Doc, but how under the different fees, Jeremy, you put like assessed to all non-waiver students, or assessed to all participants. Like, I think that language that you added was great, like in the dark blue.
Yep.
It's really hard to see on this. Um,
I don't think this is the most updated one because I looked at one that was listed in the agenda and it was a lot nicer formatted than this.
oh, this is because I opened a Word doc on Google Docs. And so,
I
yeah.
can share mine too if you want, Sarah.
Yeah, you can share yours. And then the reason the one that I just shared now that looks terrible is, really the thing I want you to see is on the second page called supplemental information. And I'm hoping we can just clean that up today.
Whoopsie, now I'm on these sheets and I can't get back to the meeting. Hold on. I just tried to launch it
We see
again.
you. I'm
Oh, you can see
admitting
me?
my second Jeremy. My those Jeremys. It's only Monday? Okay, it feels like it's. I even tried to like open it with Doc in the browser. You know, you can like get free Microsoft.
I'm very, Troy's a big Apple user. I am not. And I don't have any Macs, so I would be not able to give it to you.
I guess I kind of switched over to Google Docs because of all this collaborative work.
You
But
know,
yes.
I use it a fair amount, but like Excel versus Sheets,
Yeah.
just doesn't even compare. Like, I don't know, there's so many things you can do in Excel that Sheets isn't even.
Yeah. I
Or
agree.
like even the commands are just slightly different and you're like, what is
Yeah.
this command? I have to.
I think you have to give me sharing, right?
Oh, sorry. Sure. I will give you sharing rights. Dun, dun, dun. All right, you're set.
Okay.
Ooh, yeah, so his looks much nicer.
Yeah, what I saw. Can you make it,
Yeah.
yeah, zoom it in?
How's that?
We saw no change.
I didn't think, yeah, I didn't see any.
Oh, hold on then. Let me share it differently. New share screen. One.
Oh, we can see that.
Better?
Yeah.
I had a few questions in that where I see that you tried to list under the 400 what that was. So, but the first two, the department budget funding, like, what does that mean?
It means it's an effort to try and tell families that part of that general school fee goes toward the building of each department's budget. So science department gets, I think, 16 grand, math department gets 5 grand, English department gets 5 grand. That money is all coming from the general school fee, or some of those class fees are supplementing it. Does that make sense?
Well, I think that from an outsider, it doesn't, but I understand it when you say it.
Sure.
And so I just wonder if it's
A better way to say it.
that somebody that doesn't know the details would know that it just goes to, I don't know what.
I'll go over my thought process behind it. When we used to call it the activity fee, all the questions I would get would be like, well, I wasn't in an activity, so why are we paying the activity fee? You know? And
So I see, so general school fee, I mean, so it's a general academic department fee, basically. I mean, I'm not saying call it that, but budget funding.
the other thing is, I mean, let's say we take out that first bullet point, or the one directly across from it, personnel funding.
I think basically what this fee is going towards is the shortfalls of the monies coming from CPS, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the stuff that SBB doesn't cover, which is everything.
So
Right.
maybe we just say something like that. Not SVB, no acronym, just, I don't know, like,
Right, I think it's really complicated, right? Because people think like, oh, you get $15 million or whatever, $60 million from CPS and that's your budget. But I think this is nice. I think most people just like gloss over it. But if you really did, you're like, oh, the fee covers our testing supplies. Oh, that's not covered.
Yeah, I would say the more vague we are, the more I have to follow up with. There will be questions like, what is that $400 fee for? If I don't itemize it somehow. And so when we used to itemize it, it was just with commas and such.
yeah, no, I think this looks better and I do, but I just, when the version that I saw that I was referring to, it had a dollar amount with each of the bullet points.
Oh yeah, that was a previous version.
And this one had 100 and the personnel had 100.
Mhm.
So those were the two biggest ones. And so that's why I was like, well, what exactly is that?
But it's like all your science supplies, it's anything each department would need to make, it could be very specific items for that department that the whole school is not using. So not software that the whole school uses, but if one department uses specific software, go ahead.
But it could be that too. I mean, the 400
Well, that's true,
school
that's
fee
true.
goes into
It's true,
the
it's true.
school fee account, and I pull from it to make these different departments. But some of it stays in there, and we might pay school-wide things with it as well.
Mhm.
Does this mean there's not a separate yearbook fee? Like what, if we pay this, we automatically get a yearbook?
Correct.
Okay.
Or if it's waived for you, you're still going to get a yearbook.
Ooh, can you move your little highlighter,
Yeah.
guys, so I can see what it is? It says
Sorry, it's on this computer. There we
assess
go.
to all non-waiver students. I see. Oh, but you're saying you still get a yearbook even if you're a waiver,
Correct.
right? I like how Jeremy says correct. It's very soothing to me.
Well, I say it slowly because I'm thinking about it as I say it.
No, it's good.
So, you know, I love feedback on this form. It just feels like
But
every time
And
we
you know what?
try.
It's fine. You're gonna get questions, but to me, I was like, well, what is it? Well, okay, so it's things that aren't covered by the general budget, basically.
And we could try and say that as a blanket statement. I think,
I do like the itemization. I didn't like necessarily
No,
exact.
I mean, for these specific two department.
Oh, that's for
budget-
everything. Anything that Jones buys is through this funding.
you're saying something like that.
But that's
Yeah.
for the whole, that's for this whole page. This whole page is a disclaimer, funding
It's
not
true.
covered. Every fee is because we don't get enough money from CPS. We don't get enough money to pay for all our positions.
It's true.
And so I think that's a really hard,
I think but I think that people need to know that.
right, and instead of putting
Sarah,
it,
when you first started, you thought that Jones got a lot more money per individual than they actually get. I remember you asking.
well, they do get 3 extra positions because they're a selective enrollment high school.
What if we put the statement more at the top, like
Yes, yeah.
Jones assesses to all
They're making you write under duress. Yeah, I think leaving it as departmental budget or department budget funding,
That's
and
fine.
then,
Yeah,
but then I do like adding like, hey, this is not covered by CPS funding. And we don't need to say SBB because
something like
That's
that.
Joan assesses fees to all families who don't qualify for the fee waiver to supplement funding not covered by CPS. Something like that, maybe a little less clunky. I know where you're going. Like I trust you. You know what I mean? And then you could take out because it's everything on here. And then this doesn't even cover all the stuff Friends of Jones covers. You know, and they supplement a ton.
Budget funds for
Departments.
academic departments.
Oh, I see what you're saying, Carol, because then it shows it's not sports departments,
Yeah,
but it still is sports, Jeremy.
It is.
So I would just say departments. You know,
departments.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, because it's also, it is in activities, but it's not just activities. Right?
Yeah. Is it for all departments? Everyone, but see, then we're getting in the minutia. Is it for CTE? Oh my gosh, my head's exploding. General school tech fee covers technology, including student Chromebook. I like that, the way that you changed
What about
that.
minimal personnel funding?
Just put personnel. Minimal is a very subjective term. It's 0.5% or 0.5%.
It's less than that. What do we
Yeah,
have? Like,
yeah.
it's over 12 million in personnel, and I think we spent 350 or 360.
Right. They're not necessarily supplemental positions. That's not really accurate either. Personnel funding gaps. Then it doesn't show like it's a big, I
Yeah,
guess it's also subjective, but
or budget department gaps could be too.
it's all budget departments though. It's not even gap, well. 'cause we
Yeah,
don't
there's
get-
almost, I mean, so like we have a chunk of 35,000 for the new human geography books that right now will be in 115 CPS money when we get our budget in July. And that's how those will be purchased.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
But beyond that, there's really not, I mean, there's almost never stuff that's not in with personnel. And Sarah, that's because we had to close those 2 positions. There was a leftover chunk of money.
Oh.
It almost equaled exactly what we needed for those books. So that's where I put it on a book budget line.
Awesome.
And
That's-
I'll
I
be
mean,
able
that's actually good.
And I'll be able to order them very quickly as soon as they reopen that budget so that they can have those in time.
Okay, I'm just writing this down for the minutes. Okay, well, I do remember you telling us that.
And
Okay.
I think LSC already approved that purchase, so I don't even think that needs to be
Yes.
brought to a meeting again.
Right, did we sign the check request?
I thought so. I'll look at my
Can you
stuff.
double check that? Because I feel like,
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe it was decided to be, no, I thought the request, the check requisition was signed, but yeah, I'll check on it.
I just had a weird from redoing the minutes that I'm not sure we did that one. Okay. I like the tech fee language. Freshmen only. Oh.
Sorry, give me 1 second.
You know, I was just thinking too, because I love visual aids and info design. So when I used to work for an international organization, and even though these are going to be translated, I think sometimes maybe having a visual aid or some kind of graphic could help.
I love graphics. Keep talking.
I don't know, like, if that could like make this like go really big. When I look at the general fees, the issues that I have with it is like, I think Carol was kind of saying this too. Is like, well, you don't know really how much is being spent on what, and you got
be right
yearbook
back.
in with budget for all departments. I mean, yearbook's $20. The student newspaper is free.
So you're like saying like if it was a graphic where like certain things were bigger, like that cost more money and
Pie
like,
chart,
Yeah, something like that.
pie chart.
And
Right.
I mean, one of the things I've noticed too is when we've changed our graphics to more of like a step process, I feel like I get a better response
Hmm.
than if it's all words. You know, who wants to read a book? No one. Well, not like this. You know what I mean?
yeah, or even like just having, that's why I keep talking about the flow chart for like, do I do the FIAF form, and then what do I do next? Like, just so I know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Hang on, I'm getting treats.
Okay. Is it Friday? It's Monday.
Hi, what is that? Oh my God, thank you.
All right, sorry.
That's okay. Troy is getting treats from someone.
That's what I was getting too, but
Oh,
then
okay, good.
then the coach also had some money he had to drop off. So anyway,
Well, we were
Um,
just, Troy was just saying how it'd be nice to, as a supplement to this, is like having it to be more graphical. He felt like he sometimes gets, I mean, more infography. He'll get better response rates, or, with, when the information is less reading and more pictures.
got it. So like if we had a pie chart or
It's gonna
something
kill
like
my
that,
diet.
What is that, cake?
it's a tres leches cake. Mine looks better than his.
Mm. Yeah.
Ooh, and
Strawberries
fruit.
and things there.
Someone's birthday?
I don't know.
No,
I
the
think that was
Spanish
Spanish Honor Society, but I don't know why they're having cake.
They're having a senior night or
End of
senior
school
day.
year.
No reason not to have cake. Yeah, I think like it's a lot of information, so putting it in a visual format is challenging, but it's not impossible.
And when I used to do it for that international group I was telling you about, it would be like a one worder that, and we chose words, and I know this is a lot. I'm thinking out loud here. It would be like a one or two worder that in itself was almost like very understood universally. So I don't know if that might be, when we look at this, like different words might mean different things. It might be harder to translate. Like for example, when we were talking about the SROs for the whole school safety plan, school resource officer doesn't really translate to Spanish. So like Rachel was having a hard time getting that translated over to mean the same thing. So I don't know, like even like the verbiage on this.
But I pictured already, like you got the school in the middle, like a schoolhouse, and it's got like the different fees, but then you have like your little computer, laptop for your tech, and then you have your gym uniform, like that picture. And inside the schoolhouse, you could have a few things like book, paper, departments, science supplies, things like that.
And maybe even having like for seniors, this could, I don't know if it would make sense, and Jeremy is probably going to kill me if I suggest this, but like for the transfer application, we have like a timeline and a flow chart for how they're going to get notified on different things. And then even for incoming freshmen, we have a timeline of different things. I think one of the biggest things I hear from senior parents is understanding, oh, well, I'm not getting charged my senior fees right now, but I know in January or February, I can expect this. I don't know how much it's going to be yet, but I know that it's coming. So even having those kind of things outlined might be helpful. But maybe that's a different chart.
Okay. I mean, I'm a lot less busy starting right now, actually. So I, could throw a draft together.
I would just say we, maybe take a step back, and this is a good forum to sort of gauge because we have parents involved as well. But the graduation fee, the prom ticket cost, AP exams, those are all fees. They might be on, well, the graduation fee is never on this fee schedule. Maybe it should be added. The problem we'll run into is, and the reason why it's always been done in the middle of the year, is we do not know where it's going to be or have a budget created yet. I mean, we don't even have a sponsor sometimes at the start of the school year for the senior class because nobody wants to do that. And so I could say it's $100 graduation fee in August, the school might be eating a lot of money then if it ends up being like more like 150 per student. So that's why we've always done it mid-year, but maybe we want to rethink that and say, okay, well, now we just have to make sure we stay within this budget.
When,
I don't know. It's
No,
things
I
that
don't
this
think,
is the
I
way
don't
it's
have a
always
problem
been.
with it doing mid-year. But I'm just saying, like, a lot of, I mean, you know this, parents will often, not know that there's another fee coming, or be shocked that, oh, I thought I paid this in August. No, you paid the general school.
right, like
fee.
it could be like a TBD amount, but, or like it's usually, between X and X,
Yeah,
I mean, I know why you don't want to do that. So, but like, just
we
saying
could
that it's,
put it
it's
on here
coming.
and say to be TBD. I don't know. This form is only as good as the people who read it. It's just, I don't think anybody ever reads it anymore, but.
I obviously didn't. Because I didn't even know it existed. So,
Yeah.
I was, we were just excited to be at Jones. So we're just like, let's pay our fees. But now I'm looking in it knee deep. Graduation fee, question mark. Okay.
Or the AP exams, like we usually wait to add them because it just changes so much and it's not easy to refund.
Is it on here?
people.
If you scroll down?
It is, but it's also usually is a question mark and it's not added. See, added to accounts in January. I feel like
I
nobody's going to
see.
see that.
I like it. It's okay. I mean, but it's there.
Okay.
And then like Troy says, if we wanted to do the flow chart of, and literally it could just be like your highlighted months, like September or August, whenever you pay that fee, and then AP fee if you have it, and then graduation fee, and I don't know if that's March. And then when is the graduation fee? Usually June, April?
No, again, non-pandemic years, we've added it in, usually we'll set that budget up like in January and have it added by early February. And our first senior letter usually goes out in early February.
Great.
Saying this is what you can start expecting, so that the families have about 4 months to plan. But I think some families would like even more time. That's still not enough.
Right. Which gives me to the other question that I think a flow chart would be good for is, how do they set up payment plans? Do they do that through you, or can they do that through Aspen?
I'll be completely honest. I hate the payment plan. I wish we could get rid of it altogether. It's
a promise note.
Yeah, it's just an
Oh, it's not like where you
IOU.
set up a credit card and it takes out X dollars
No.
every month.
I can't do that.
Right, of course you can't, because you can't hold people's cards on file. That
And
sounds
so,
like
and it gives that misconception.
yes, it does. Yeah. But that's really what people need.
Kind of, and I've tried to encourage them, use your bank bill pay plans and just sign up, put your kid's ID number in the corner and pay us $50 a month if that's easier for you to budget that way. Some people do it. Usually it's, less than 10, maybe 5 a year.
Yeah, we're not, yeah.
I mean, these are all things that CPS could have fixed so much better when they switched over to this new software.
Yeah, you should be able to log in and put your credit card in there if you want to and set up the payment schedule. And,
yeah.
But I also, as a business owner, understand how there's it's a pain, and there's a lot of fees you end up paying to have those services. I had mentioned a long time ago, like the school that I came from had an e-pay option link on their front page. But that was for when we would pay for field trips and anything that was not like a regular standard fee. We could also pay our fees that way, but we don't do that at Jones.
I have a question.
No, we
Sorry.
do.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead,
just had a
Carol.
delivery. Sorry, I missed that, but I wanted to ask about that. So you're not allowed to pay your $400 on Aspen?
No, you are. That's what we call it parent portal, but it's through Aspen. Aspen was created by Chicago Public Schools, and Troy,
Yeah.
interject if
Yeah, I
I'm
know.
missing anything here.
Yeah.
But
But
they aren't a credit card, they don't do payments really. So they direct you to Illinois ePay when
Yeah.
you're making a payment.
no,
And
but on
then
the
it's
form,
linked to Aspen, so it shows up.
yeah, but on the form, I thought it says payment only in person somewhere. I thought it was, it confused me when I read that
Yeah,
today.
scroll down.
On the form we're looking at?
Yeah.
Yeah, at the bottom. Payment options.
So there's 2 bullets. And maybe it was just missed, and then this one is
Maybe-
here. It just bounced down because we started adding things.
Paid, oh, maybe it was, or maybe it was because it was a different draft. It was, so these fees generally are paid on that one day when everyone comes in to register. So is that going to be in person in the fall or not?
You mean the registration?
Undetermined. We don't know.
Yeah. So, I mean, if it's not going to be in person, then you don't want to have anything in there that says in person. So we'll just have to wait and see, right?
I think even during the pandemic, you could have walked in and paid cash, right?
You
Jamie?
can, exactly. So we still have no problems with people coming to pay in person. Registration in person is 2 different questions. And again, we're trying to encourage families not to do registration in person because it eats up
Okay.
so much time. It's really simple to do it online, and Troy has some great digital forms for them to do. So
Okay,
that they
yeah,
don't
no.
have to eat up a work day doing it.
Oh, that's great. I agree. I think I must have looked at a draft that was before, because it seemed to me that it was encouraging in person instead of online. And
We could rearrange these and put like a preferred or something in front of credit card.
I mean,
Yeah, maybe put cash last.
yeah,
Yeah,
You
the
don't have to
problem
put-
is right now there's no credit card fees. So definitely preferred right now for everybody. It's the easiest way to do it, although a lot of families are having trouble getting into parent portal still. But
Oh, you guys have no credit card fees?
right now, because of the pandemic,
Wow.
that there's no way they're gonna keep that. CPS is covering it for us, but they're not gonna keep doing
Yeah.
that. So
I don't even think you'd have to put preferred. You could just change the order.
okay.
It's up to you. This is your form. But I think that might be,
I mean, you want to push people to that portal.
Yeah.
But even with that portal, I think Jeremy has mentioned this before. We're basing the sign-in and how to get there on what parents have told us, because we don't have a sandbox where we can play around with it and see where these fees, like how do they get the fees. So if Aspen changes, which could happen, they could change how they get to that payment option. We won't know
Right.
until a parent tells us.
I could log in right now and just make sure it hasn't changed.
Make sure what hasn't changed?
Oh, the way that you get into it, right? So I go into Aspen and he's saying, sign in family. Okay, family. It's kind of not like, it depends if you're going to the full site.
It's too bad that there's not an app. It'd be so much easier.
Oh, at least they have I'm sure there's an Aspen app. All right, hold on. Let me do exactly what you're saying. I sign in. I go to family. I go to fees. It's not really quite like that. You can go, right, you sign in, you can go right to fees. I can click right to fees and then select desired fees. First you got to select your kid if you have more than one. Oh, let me select my other kid.
So this is what I would normally send to people as my template. So sign into parent portal, and then it says click families, fees, select desired fees, pay online.
Yeah, that's not really true anymore. Can I just go through it and I'll screenshot it for you and I'll send it to you?
Sure.
Because now you just, wait, I also don't like this view. Family. I think I would click the kid. No, reports. I lost all my fees. This is tough. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean,
That's another thing too, is that it doesn't show you if you are, like, if you wanted to give them any kind of notes, there's not a way for you to show that, hey, yeah, you're approved for the waiver
Ooh,
or the reduced fees. There's no option for that. And then,
right.
it makes me wonder, like, I mean, there's probably a handful of schools that probably have this problem. I doubt Dunbar. I mean, I don't know for sure, but they probably don't have a lot of families going on paying these extra fees. They probably have a few. I don't even know if they have an extra fee, so they wouldn't even need it. So I don't know if CPS is going to invest any more money into cleaning this up and making it easier when it's only a few schools.
Okay, so I put it in the chat. So you do go to family, you go to something now called transactions. You can click. So if I click transactions, I get two drop downs. I get payments or details. So I can see, like, since I paid mine, under fees, details, I have nothing. But under payments, it shows what I paid. And if I click on what I paid, it will show the itemization of the activity fee,
but
260.
if you hadn't paid, I think after you click on transactions, you should be able to select desired fees, no?
Yeah, I would say fees. You would go transactions, I'll put it transactions, and then you click fees.
So you still have to click a fees button and then
Yes.
select desired fees?
There is no desired fees. It's just details now.
No, I'm saying, how do you decide what you want to pay for?
It's hard because I don't have anything in my thing right now.
I think at that point, you're going to be clicking buttons to decide which fees you're going to pay.
All right.
You also
yes.
can't pay part of the $400 fee. It's either all or nothing. Like, it's such an antiquated, horrible system they've built.
But what
here.
if a family e-paid you $200? Then you'd have to track it back to their account. Like if I just went on ePay, Illinois ePay, and I put my daughter's, ID number and I paid $200.
I don't know how that $200 gets into our bank account. Right now, everything that's paid through Parent Portal will automatically come into our bank account through a daily process. And
From my
have to
experience, it
reconcile
comes
all
in,
those.
yeah. From my experience, it comes in, but it wasn't daily. It was like dropped at a month, and it was causing us to have a lot of backlog of like trying to match those payments to the students. I could check with
I'm sure it would be tons of work.
Yeah, I could check with our old clerk to see if that's gotten better.
But I mean, I still have to do a certain amount of that, and on a daily basis. So like right now, my reconcile for May is going to be due next Monday. So before then, each day I have to put all of those fees into their various accounts and create a receipt for that for each credit card day. If they were to pay outside of that Parent Portal process, I'm assuming I'd have to do another credit card receipt and a little more investigation to see who paid that way. I don't know. It's definitely not going to be better.
Right. Okay. I'm just okay. All right. So here we are in the pain of fee land. Where's all my windows? Don't want Aspen anymore. Go away. Okay. All right. So then I want to throw some, if if you could go to, I'm gonna put, can you go to the second document in the chat, everyone, and just look at the language, the supplemental information. I don't know, Jeremy, if you could share that from the chat. Oh, I could do it. Yeah.
I think I only have the chat since I signed on for my desktop.
Oh,
wait,
okay.
I guess I can from here.
Go here, it's fine. I mean, I can also share it. Do you want to stop sharing and I'll go share real quick?
Sure. Are we done talking this one over, or we're gonna go back to it?
No, I mean, let's finish this. Is there any, I guess, other comments on the middle box? Seemed fairly pretty straightforward. Oh, did you just put graduation fee in there?
I didn't.
Oh, it's
Did
in
I?
there. TBD based on grad budget. Added to accounts in January. You did put it in there. I didn't do that.
Where are you looking?
The thing you're sharing right now.
Under miscellaneous fees.
Oh, you're right. I did. I totally did not just add that, and I forgot I must have added it last time because.
I like it. I mean, if you wanted to make it 100 to 200 just to cover your, booty, you could do that.
You know, the graduation budget isn't the one that balloons like that. It's prom. It's such a nightmare.
But then that's a really case by case if they want to go to prom.
Yeah, I guess I'm just saying I don't think it's ever been over 150, and I don't know if we need to scare parents quite that much.
I thought Friends of Jones was covering graduation.
That's this year, yes, but not in a typical year.
Oh, yeah.
And this fee schedule is pertaining to all of next year. So this would be the first
Okay.
class of
Oh, right,
22 would be the ones
Yeah,
seeing
I
that
gotcha.
number.
Okay. I like how you're like any dance class, any theater class, any.
I mean, yeah, because these science ones do pertain to these specific ones, but all of the visual arts and performing arts, they just have so much extra costs that we have a class fee for all of them, and we're permitted to. There's certain things that you are and are not allowed within CPS rules to do a class fee for.
Oh, interesting. Well, and this is good. This pays for, this goes to the departmental budgets too,
Yes.
right? So, and your ID, those numbers will all stay the same.
I mean, so there's another one where when CPS changed this software program that we do this kind of stuff in, they didn't change this. So it used to be if you needed a temp ID in the morning when you came because you left your ID at home, it printed one out and $1 would automatically get added to a student's accounts.
Oh,
They don't do that anymore. So really these are on here as more of like a threat.
yeah.
But to add them is not worth the $1 we're getting out of it. Like it's
Right,
so time consuming.
Yeah, it's not like you just scan the temp ID and like you said, it should automatically go.
It should.
That's so interesting. That's too bad. Okay, sorry that they didn't make your life better. All right.
There's a new, they think this will fix everything, but there's supposed to be a feedback, a new sort of, what do you call it, Troy? Sandbox? It's not really a sandbox, I don't think, though. It's more like enter tickets to tell us how to improve Aspen.
Yeah,
Or
you
you
see it
can-
on websites sometimes where it's like a little plus sign and then you click it and then it relays any problems with that specific page.
The problem is we don't, we're so busy trying to navigate this horrible system. We don't have time to give them. I mean, I would be more inclined
Every
to say,
page.
yeah, can I come downtown and just walk you guys through some of the stuff that we have to do with this and show you why it's so bad? But they don't.
It sounds like I'm talking to my sister nurse who is always complaining about all of the patient, putting all the information in and how it changes every. Yeah, all this looks fine to me. It's also, it's going to be a lot of retraining, right? So like AP fees were covered by CPS this year. So none of us got assessed this other $95 for these AP tests or $143 that our
Right.
child just took. And so we're going to be a little bit surprised. I mean, I think, you know, the LSC has their updates. We could do a budget update or something like we could, or Dr. Powers who put it as part of his thing is saying like, you know, just a reminder, these are things that were waived this year by CPS, you know, the AP fees, the,
Mhm.
you know, and that this year Friends of Jones is paying for graduation, you know, and like you said, it's only as good as the people that read it, but I think people are going to be surprised when they get this fee, and freshman parents who are going to be sophomore parents, when they get that fee now, they'll be like, oh, I didn't know I had to pay, but it's right here. So, okay. I think we're good with this. Or I'm good with this. So on the doc that I'll put here, or you could share, I could share, doesn't matter. But on this doc, I had presented just supplemental information to the LSC at the last meeting, because they wanted to make sure yeah, just ignore this terrible formatting and scroll to the last,
This
it
part.
even looks worse on your, yeah. Can you
If
zoom
I
into that, or,
download it, it might be better.
I don't know. I could also share my screen. Oh, that's better. Okay, so the bullets I have were just more of like a memory placeholder to make sure that those things were covered. Yeah, like waive fees. I think there was some desire to say that if you were, the form talks about certain ones are waived for fee waiver students. But what this doesn't talk about is what is that and how do you get that? So and again, this is, you guys know the answer to this, but when students are going through registration and you mention, and we fill out this FIF form, is that something, like, how did I fill that out? Do I?
You did. It's
Okay.
embedded in the registration. So you either had to click a button saying, I'm opting out because I know I won't qualify, or you filled it out and were awaiting results. Troy, because some people had to have gotten around it because Lori still had to follow up with some people. How would one get around it through your registration process?
They would just fill out something, just like,
Oh, so they put in
That's what
gobbledygook or whatever they
yeah,
wanted to.
yeah, like, you know, Billy Bob and whatever, fake information. Or you would have families that say they made $300,000 a month, which,
Wow.
but
Well, because they didn't understand that was annual, not monthly. or
no, I
something.
think it was a mistake, a typo. But with the new SOPA law going into effect, that basically is probably going to be going away, and that's another thing that we have to reinvent because of the changes that are coming. I doubt that CPS will approve
Cognito forms.
these Cognito forms that we use. They're in compliance with like the standard law, basically protecting like any medical information or any private information, and they've got an extra layer of encryption on it. But with this new law, I don't think that it would qualify. So I've been trying to really dig into it to see what is and what isn't. So the FIIF form now will probably revert back to paper.
That's terrible. I mean, I like the security aspect of it for people, but like going to paper ever is never going to be a good thing.
Yeah, and I mean, it's unfortunate. It's like I think this is the kind of the thing that CPS does in general. When Barbara Byrd Bennett was, you know, taking her millions,
Triple B.
Yeah, she inadvertently created a new process that made it so hard for people to become vendors, and everything was being scrutinized so much more when it was being done at such a high level. I mean, it's sort of the same thing. Like there are some schools that don't know what they're doing, and then there's other schools that um, are following the process and then still can't use that software or that process anymore because things have changed. But I mean, it just puts you in a different path and trying to figure out something else. But for the immediate year and for this language and how the FIF form will work, whatever process you tell them to do, I guarantee it's going to change. It's not going to be, it probably will not be a part of the registration form.
Right, and so, okay, because of the process will change. At some point, we could just put language here that we could just describe what that form is, and that's every family needs to do one form. It's one form per family at each school, right? Or if you do it, what if you do it like if you have kids at multiple schools, you have to do it for both schools?
I
You
think
do.
so.
So yeah, so it's one form per family per school, and
But
that
it does ask, like on the form, it will ask, do you have any students anywhere
yes.
else within CPS? And somehow that goes into the equation, into the machine, and it calculates somehow, and it spits it out whether or not it's been approved or not. So it does take into account if you have other CPS students somehow.
Right. I'm just wondering if you have to fill it out again for your other school, because they wouldn't know that you had filled it out. Right, because it's a paper form.
I
right?
think you
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
have to.
Okay.
But I don't think a lot of families do. I mean, there's a lot of like, I've said this in the past, like Jones is very fortunate. We get probably 98% of those forms in, mostly because of the registration form and the due diligence of Lori Torres, who's, hunting those down. But
Yeah.
even then you have mistakes or you have people that don't fill it out. There's a lot of other schools that, and she's friends with a lot of the clerks that do this. They just don't get to it.
There is
Yeah,
a
but-
fair amount of people too that won't fill it out because they just don't feel they should have to tell. They don't want Big Brother looking over their finances. They feel they have a right to not fill it out, and they don't.
Right, but we do get, well, I guess it's called SA funds, right? We use
No, yeah,
SGSA.
absolutely. It
So-
completely helps the school. They just don't care.
Yeah.
And just a side note on that, sorry, there's like a gang of fruit flies that just came through. Seriously.
These working
So-
conditions are terrible.
Yeah. So we talk about like equity and like the FIIF form is in Spanish as well, and just working with our clerk Lori and Ms. Gamboa, there are families who look at it as, I'm not going to fill this out because then ICE is going to find me, and then they can't get any help. But we can't do anything, or that puts them into that different category where we have to like figure out something else. But them filling out that form has nothing to do with it. But I've had that situation where families don't want to fill it out because that they think that it's going to be sent off to, the government, and they're going to hunt them down. So I would say there's a percentage there somewhere that we lose people because of that as well.
Yeah. Jeremy, do you know approximately for SG, I mean, I'm just gonna call them SGSA because that's how I was brought up, or SA funds. Jude, is it more for the 100% waiver than the reduced lunch?
I thought it was the same, but I
Okay.
don't know if they
And you
give
don't have
us.
a dollar amount off the top of your head of what it is per,
Yeah, I can get it. I think it was 600 something.
Are you also looking for the number of people that have completed it? Is that what you're asking too?
No, I mean, you said 98% completed, which is great. I'm just wondering
I thought
how,
you meant, like-
and we know we have what, 35% of our students approximately qualify for.
About,
So,
per pupil rates, supplemental aid funding details for next year's budget, we have a 35%, sorry, FY21 was 35%, 35.04% allocation. FY22 is 34.85, so close to 35. Enrollment, adjusted enrollment, calculated number of qualifying students for next year is 686.55. And the per pupil amount went up from 950 this year to 990 next year.
okay, that's a lot of money. Okay.
Yeah, it came out to about 680,000, which
Yeah.
is, we have, I would say, at least 6 positions funded from that money.
So I guess I think that this is like the, sorry, I'm writing this note, at least, this is the time where the budget committees could be really useful, right? Is to have a PR campaign to, social media or whatever, to get people to fill out the form and, why it's important and why, and how it's confidential and how it's, that information is only kept where? At the school? Do you turn that in?
Well, it depends on what we're talking about.
So like
If-
if you do qualify, that form gets sent to CPS?
The form
state of
itself, does not,
Illinois?
but the information is inputted into a CPS system that actually is like it's a state site, I think, that it just calculates whether or not they qualify.
So
Hey,
Lori
this-
gets the information from you after you filled it out. When she puts in a student ID, probably a number of the income based on monthly income, submit, and that's how she gets her.
Yep.
She's
Right,
not
but-
filling in all the stuff that you guys fill out on
But
that.
the
form.
actual
Right,
record
that's what-
itself is kept at the school.
Right, and so I think that could be important to communicate to people that might feel, through these colorful info things.
Yeah.
To say like, yeah, it is important. It does help your child.
And even
And-
the ones that, the families that, make too much money, don't want to fill it out because, they know right off the bat they're not going to qualify and see no value in it. So they're just as important than the ones that do qualify for it.
Well, yeah, I mean, but you get most people to say like, I don't qualify. You're not getting it. Like, if you don't qualify, you don't qualify. You
Yeah,
just want people to sign it that they,
but
right?
it's like, yeah, but I mean, it's like pulling teeth trying to get them to
Oh.
sign it sometimes because they just don't, like I said, they don't see the value in it because it doesn't impact them at all.
they
Number
just have to
one,
sign it. They don't have to put any information. Yeah.
I mean, they have to put their student's name and ID and then their name and then sign. So
They have to put their names, but they don't have to put their income.
they don't have to put their income.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay. I know we're way over already. It's 4:39. Hear me. When does this get sent out to?
I mean, we don't start communicating it to families until registration time, but it does need to be approved by an LSC first.
The LSC did approve the dollar amounts and we're happy with this, like direction. I don't think that they felt they needed to approve the exact language. I think they were letting us go to ensure, as long as that general language is there. I thought as a committee, we could communicate it a little bit better, especially the not better, but just more communication about FIAF or the
So
appeal
then-
process?
I don't need it until we send out our first notification about registration. That's when it will start needing to be a solid document that I share.
And that is when? July?
Well, it used to be around the first week of August, late July, early August. But this year are we a week earlier
Yeah,
than last year?
Yes, yes.
So Troy, what are your thoughts? And especially if we're not using Cognito forms and our whole online process that we were getting better and better with, we're gonna have to cut all of that now. It's just gonna be a nightmare. I mean,
idea.
we're gonna be going back to the dinosaur age where we did it all in person and everybody stands in line for 4 hours.
Yeah, that's a,
I mean, they really expect us to have a piece of paper filled out by all of these families, like 8 different forms for this registration.
this
So
doesn't
it's
make
just-
any sense.
I know,
I
it's
mean-
so slow. So I would say
Okay.
when we start communicating that to the families is when this needs to be ready to go, late July.
Okay. Does anyone want to take I mean, we could, 2 of us could meet at another time to take a stab, or we could take stabs at certain parts.
Yeah, I mean, once the students and teachers are gone, I have a lot more time in the summer, although I mean, we'll be out, we try to take some of our vacation and stuff during the summer too, to not have as much, when we have not as much on our plate, but like after July 1, I'll start having a little more time to work on stuff like this. I guess I would rather do it in collaboration with someone like you just said, though, because
Yeah, I'm
I'm
here.
not
I'm just-
sure what you're all looking for.
Right. I actually have more time right now. Maybe I'll take a stab and send a draft. I have to just, and then we could meet again,
That would be great. If you want to start it and then I'll kind of look over it and say, that's correct. That's not quite how that goes, but you know what I mean?
Right. And we can meet as a committee again. We just call a meeting, and if we want to, or 2 of us can like really work it out, and then we can present it to the committee and then get everyone's feedback to make sure we're not off the mark. Yeah, especially if you're busy. And then just to kind of wrap up, my only thing for new business was just like, do you do like a budget actuals at the end of fiscal year 21? Do you have to do a final reconciliation of?
Just the normal monthly reconcile that we,
Okay. And I think,
there's auditing stuff,
yeah.
but that's primarily, sorry, not auditing, asset tag.
Oh.
So Joanne has to submit all that stuff each year. But no.
And all the
there's not really-
Chromebooks get asset tagged, right?
Yep.
Okay. Because you had mentioned like $500, but it must be like any.
Yeah, I just get a lot of deadlines of when I can no longer do purchase orders, accounts payable, receive invoices, employee reimbursements, book transfers, schools complete internal accounts survey. There is a survey that I have to do. It's basically every year, are you funneling money anywhere else outside of CPS, kind of a thing. It's really kind of silly.
Are you on the up and up, Jeremy? That's what.
Right, that kind of a question.
Okay.
But you did just buy that gold toilet.
And with the cake.
That's
you
right.
know.
3 cheeses, 3 leche.
Tres leches. I don't know, are you guys around for June? Is anyone taking off?
I am going to be gone. Are you talking about next month, July or June?
Just like when you're gone. So like if I'm not trying to call you for a,
I am here just 3 days this week, then all of next week through the 24th. And then when the teachers are gone, I'm probably going to try and burn up a few more of my days before the fiscal year ends.
Okay, so just out a couple days.
Yeah.
And then
I'm
probably,
trying, like, I don't want to bother people, like, if I can not, I don't want to. Troy?
I was just gonna say the last couple of weeks of June will probably be the same story. And
Yeah, everyone's gonna need a little
yeah,
break. Okay. I respect
And
that.
then
I too.
I should also mention, you're correct in that I don't think we ever did approve the textbook for the human whatever book they're
Yeah.
using now. So do you want me to resend that to you for the next, when's the special meeting, on Monday?
Did they call it yet? I thought
I don't think they
we
called
had
it.
tentatively said Thursday, but yes, just send it so that we do it at whatever. We will have a special meeting in June. So yeah, let's make sure we get that done.
I mean, you guys have it already from previous meetings, but I can resend it.
I have it with the National Geographic one, with the 34. I mean, I have the quote, but I don't know if I have the check request.
No, I looked at emails with Cassie, and I'm pretty sure I saw it. I'll re-forward it though.
Okay, it's okay. I mean, yeah, I can look for two. I just want to make sure it gets on the agenda. Okay. Keep pressing your administration to get their plan together for that ADF and that OST funds. That's all I can say, because we need a plan. It's a lot of money.
Okie doke.
You're like, how might be? Okay, I'm gonna call adjournment at 4:46.
Second.
Okay, it's okay. We don't have to do a vote or anything. All right, thank you all.
Saying second. All right.
I like it because it's already in my notes.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Bye.